Today we're going to talk about 2 more of the Emperor's Tarot cards, plus Games Workshop may have released Dante a little earlier than they intended for their warehouse, and Mantic Games has a brand new Kickstarter that has me hyped. All this and more in this week's Hobby News. I'm Angela, you're watching Hobby Night, now let's get to it.
He stands defiant, his blade reflecting the light of a poisoned sky.
Because I was sick last week, we have 2 different tarot cards to talk about today, and I really think both of these are just re-emphasizing things that Games Workshop has already revealed to us, but I think they're running out of things to talk about, and I think we're getting very, very close to 10th edition finally being revealed. So when it comes to tarot card number 19, the Knight, this one I really feel is just re-emphasizing the fact that the lion is going to return. We continue the green and gold color scheme that we've seen across multiple different cards, all referencing the lion. We have a literal knight in this case, which the Dark Angels are a representation of knights in the 41st millennium, probably more so than any other faction of Space Marines, so I can't really see any questioning there.
Fuck you! You're heretical!
And it would be really cool to me if the helmet that they used in this was actually a piece of artwork from the Dark Angels, from like an older edition or something, and they're reusing it here, or even better yet, potentially one of the old sculpts for one of the Dark Angels miniatures that they've now maybe updated for us going forward, which would also, again, be really cool. Now, I might be reading a little bit too much into that particular element, but I don't think there is any doubt that this is just re-emphasizing that the lion is returning. Now we need to move on to the 20th tarot card reading that we've gotten, which is the Galaxy Inversed. Now before we actually talk about this particular card and what it means, I just need to complain to Games Workshop very briefly. Games Workshop, if you're going to use tarot card reading as a way to advertise your new edition of your game, please do your research and actually figure out what inverse means in reference to tarot cards, because you're not doing it correctly and you haven't done it correctly for like the last 4 or 5 inverse tarot card readings that you've had. Okay, that really bothered me. Rant is over. Let's actually talk about what the Galaxy is showcasing for us, because this one, again, I really just think is pointing us towards 10th edition. It's on its way. It's right around the corner, and I actually think this might be the final tarot card reading that we're going to get. 20 is a nice round number. I think that we have an emphasis on the galaxy and change and darkness coming, and that really pushes us towards the, hey, we've got a new edition coming, and we have Adepticon right around the corner, which we know Games Workshop is going to be doing a live preview for, and I think that we might be finally getting the reveal of 10th edition at that preview. So I will be very glad to potentially see no more of these tarot card readings, especially when they do them inaccurately. In the last segment, I mentioned Adepticon and the fact that Games Workshop is going to be having an online preview where they're going to be showcasing some new products that are coming for us later this year. And in celebration of that, if you want to have a watch along with me, I'm going to be doing a live stream covering the entire event starting Wednesday at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time, a half an hour before the event actually begins, where we will be watching it all together live. So if you want to see my reactions to everything, be able to chat with me about whatever it is that they're going to be revealing, maybe we'll be very happy together because we finally know that 10th edition is officially going to be here. Maybe they'll even give us a date, but we'll also be able to gush hopefully about some really cool new miniatures. Now, we're not just learning about Warhammer 40k at this preview either. If you're a fan of Age of Sigmar, Warhammer Underworlds, Kill Team, or Warhammer Horus Heresy, then you'll want to stop by because they're going to be showcasing all of those different titles from them. I'm looking forward to this. I hope you join me on the live stream. Again, that will begin Wednesday, the 22nd at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time. Hope to see you there.
What do you remember?
Pieces. Fragments.
That is what happens when you die. You will all die here.
I want to know who I am.
You must let it go. The past is gone.
There's something in my memory, something I can't see.
Suffering is a seed.
The Blight Kings plan to use the survivors to make plague carriers.
And soon there will be no pain. The contagions they carry are lethal. If you don't accept what remains, then you will never be whole.
Such things are not my concern.
You die and lose memories because of the decisions you make.
Death is the price we pay, and I pay it gladly.
Games Workshop has actually put out a trailer that's gotten me interested in the Stormcast Eternal, because we recently got a new animated trailer for the upcoming Blacktalon, which will be out on Warhammer Plus. Now, I do have a minor criticism before we go into this, in the fact that Blacktalon was one of the animated features that we were promised when Warhammer Plus was first announced all the way back in August of 2021, and we are just now starting to see more information about it. And it just seems like it took them a really long time. And now I know there were some struggles and everything, but I wish they would have gotten this content out a little bit sooner so that it could have drawn more people in to the games and content that they're making, rather than making people really, really bitter towards their product. Now let's actually talk about Blacktalon, because I actually think it looks really cool, and I was not expecting to think that going into this, because I'm not a huge fan of the Stormcast Eternal. They've always been presented in most of Games Workshop's media as these very single-minded, duty-oriented beings that didn't have a huge amount of personality. I mean, they have masks covering their faces a lot of the time. You don't end up seeing them, and they didn't really seem overly expressive or very relatable, if I'm honest. However, in this trailer for this new animated feature, which is going to be 6 episodes long, they actually did a really good job of making some of the stuff that happens to the Stormcast Eternal mean something to them. They have conflict about it, and I think it's actually very, very engaging. I might actually end up watching this. There's a couple of shows actually that are coming to Warhammer Plus soon that I'm very intrigued by. Maybe this will make the product more worthwhile. I also am just enjoying the fact that Nurgle has a big feature in this. It's always nice to see the grandfather doing his finest work in the Games Workshop's product, so to see just them having to deal with a plague, I very much enjoy. Let me know what you think, and are you going to be watching this down below?
Father, I have failed you. All around, our domain lies in ruins. We are beset on all sides by our enemies, the Xenos, the heretics, and the traitors. The fires blaze, and the burden of my duty lies heavy. If Imperium Nihilus falls, then so too shall humanity. But as I am reborn, a new strength flows through my blood, and the light of Sanguinius will shine once more.
I feel so bad for whomever it was that accidentally approved the new Dantes going out to customers before it was ready. Because if you had not seen, we had a rushed preview of the new Dante miniature for the Blood Angels, because Games Workshop accidentally sent it to a couple people early, and a couple of those people took it as an opportunity to paint it up and showcase it online, which honestly, the community was thrilled by. They were super happy to see this new miniature because frankly, it looks amazing, especially in comparison to the old Dante, which was very stiff, didn't have a lot of dynamism to him, and this new one really does some nice work. He's very heroic looking, despite the fact that Games Workshop claims there are no heroes in the 41st millennium. But it was leaked well before they really wanted it to happen, but this time it wasn't actually the community's fault, it was Games Workshop's fault themselves. Somebody at the warehouse just sent them out accidentally before they were ready to go, and they scrambled to cover their butts on it. And I think they took it in good humor, but oh man, I am so sorry for whatever employee got in trouble for that, because you know that somebody did, and that kind of sucks. Are you excited for the new Dante? I'm definitely going to be picking up the Golden Boy and painting him when he becomes more readily available. Let me know if you are too.
An unholy evil has fallen across the land. The necromancer Mortibrus moves to seize an ancient power that could remake the world. As his forces scour the deep places of the earth, something foul stirs beneath the ruins of Dolgar. Great champions are called to mount an expedition, the wisest, the toughest, and the deadliest around. Now, 4 very different heroes must learn to work and fight together. Vorden, a stout dwarf with an appetite for battle and strong ale. Madriga, a former captain of the Elven Sea Guard who now travels the world. Daniel, a gifted student of the magical arts descended from an ancient bloodline. And Orla, barbarian mercenary from the northern lands looking for his next big score.
Last but not least this week, we need to talk about an upcoming Kickstarter coming to us from Mantic Games. It is for Dungeon Saga Origins, and this is a continuation of their original Dungeon Saga series. It is going to be a prequel and a way for people to step into the game with a fresh start, and I, for one, am very, very excited. I have not actually played the original Dungeon Saga. However, I do own one of the boxes for it, and it comes in this amazing book-shaped box, and I really, really hope this new edition also does the same thing, or at least that's an option through the Kickstarter. Please, Mantic, please tell me I can buy this game in book form, because I want it to match the other one. Now, we don't have a huge amount of information about the game, other than it will be a prequel tied to the original Dungeon Saga series, and it's going to be a dungeon crawling game. For me, that's pretty much enough. I love those two elements. And I've been seeing some of the miniatures on Mantic's Instagram page. They showcased some undead dwarves, and I think they look stunning. So I cannot wait to see the rest of the miniature collection for this game, and it's one that I will be covering more on the channel once we have more information available on it. All right, that has been it for this week in hobby news. Make sure to join me on Wednesday starting at 7:30 Pacific Standard Time for the watch along of Games Workshop's online preview straight from Adepticon. I'm very much looking forward to it. I hope you're able to join me. And before we head out, I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons for making it so content like this can continue to happen. Without your guys' support, we would not be doing this. So thank you very, very much. I have been Angela, and I hope you have a wonderful hobby night.